Sherry, I know I've read, from some of your books about looking to the past in the church. Times where things might not have been ideal, where the Lord raised up saints. And I just wonder your thought about, what we can learn from the context of the past, whether it be past pandemics or plagues or depression or economic uncertainty or whatnot. Um, when you think of what we're going through right now, what comes to mind from the past that we might be able to learn from?
Oh, golly, the church has been here so many times before. In fact, some of the greatest revivals in Catholic history have arisen in times much more dire than this, which I know is almost impossible to believe. But not pandemics, civil wars, regular wars, famines, and sometimes all simultaneously, repression of the church, persecution, all kinds of stuff. And yet, in the middle of it, God raised up people. And the one that I like to talk a lot about is what I call it is called the generation of saints, the great revival in 17th century France that changed the course of the French church for decades, for 150 years, for 8 generations, and spawned a Catholic missionary movement that spread all over the world. They invented most of the stuff we now take for granted as we think of it as, well, this is the way the Catholic Church has always been. No, they
Hmm.
responded. It was a disaster. Huge millions of people died in civil wars and all sorts of terrible things. And yet God raised up in that setting these incredible people. And what's amazing, they were men and women and married people and single people and lay people and religious and priests and cardinals and poor people and uneducated people and highly educated people and just across the spectrum. They took very seriously the the gifts and the vocations of every person, the faith, God's call in each individual person's life. And together they collaborated and they became this network of friends. And I think part of what's so crucial is this network of friends. They were friends
Hmm.
together. They were mentors for each other. They prayed for each other. They learned from each other. They stole from each other. Uh, they just, it was just a whole network of disciple friends who changed the course of history. And what happened in France changed the course for the whole Catholic Church all across the world, including North America. The reason you and I are Catholic today is partly because of the French revival, and then it also brought the faith to Asia, all this sort of thing. So I think what really stands out in moments like this, honestly, in a way that doesn't happen often before, is the role of lay apostles.
Hmm.
Lay people really enter into their own in situations like this, and in many ways, the thing is, in a kind of Christendom setting where the church sort of permeates the whole culture and has a lot of power, lay people aren't as important in some ways, or are as visible anyway. But in a missionary setting, we're in missiondom. We're not in Christendom anymore, and Christendom isn't coming back, and it isn't COVID that killed it. Okay, it's been dead for a couple of generations, but we're just slowly figuring that out. But what we all know that after this, things are going to be different somehow. We don't know exactly how, but we know.